Ladies and gentlemen, we just got some brand new, absolutely stunning information regarding President Trump's economy, and Vice President J.D. Vance just completely dismantled one of the left-wing media's biggest ongoing lies. So folks, do me a favor and make sure to stick around for the entire video, because today, I have a feeling that all of you are going to enjoy today's news. Now, like I said, we just got some brand new economic information that really gives some massive insight into not just President Trump's current second term, but also the massive success of his first presidential term. In fact, take a look at this. According to this new information, over the course of President Trump's first term, net household income rose by over $6,400, whereas during Joe Biden's first term, net household income rose by only an absolutely pathetic $551. And also, keep in mind, President Trump was able to have this massive economic success during his first term, despite his final year in the White House being totally undermined by the global pandemic. But okay, that's enough about President Trump's first term. What do you say we take a look at how things are actually going right now? Check this out. Between the end of March and the end of June, just a short 3-month-long time frame, the median household income in the USA has increased by over $1,100. Folks, that is absolutely massive, and keep in mind, President Trump is just getting going. But you know what? Vice President J.D. Vance actually weighed in on all of this economic growth just earlier today. Take a look.
There's so much to do, and some of this stuff takes time to really see the benefits of it. But we saw blue-collar wages rise the fastest that they have in 60 years in this country. You see people finally they're getting ahead of inflation as opposed to falling further behind inflation. Again, I'm 40 years old. I guess I'm 41 because I just had a birthday, which sucks. Getting older is terrible, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
And, the thing that I realize is that for 41 years, the story of the American economy was the middle class falls further and further behind. Good jobs get shipped overseas. You see other countries building great things, even as your communities and your towns become less prosperous. We're changing that. We're actually giving middle class workers a pay increase for the first time in a very long time. I'm very, very excited about that. But I think as good as the first 6 months were, as good as those first 7 months were, we're going to see a hell of a lot more progress over the next 3.5 years.
And so, folks, like I said, as good as all of this growth really is, President Trump is just getting going. In fact, take a look at this. President Trump's economy is actually doing so well that even some Republicans can barely believe it. Let it play.
I wouldn't trade America's economy for the economy of any other country. Certainly not Europe, not China, certainly not Canada. Put things in perspective. A year and a half, 2 years ago, we had 9% inflation. Now we're down to, depending on whose numbers you believe, 2.5% to 3%. I thought that to get inflation down from 9 to 2 to 3, we'd have to see unemployment at about 7 to 9%. And we haven't. We've had a soft landing, and notwithstanding the jobs report, the economy's still doing pretty good.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, as I think we all know, pretty good is a little bit of an understatement. But okay, now folks, Vice President J.D. Vance actually had a lot more to say about why exactly President Trump's economy is working so well. But before we take a look at that, I do want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news updates, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a lot. But okay, check this out.
That'd be great if you could talk a little bit about the middle class tax cuts so people understand that this is happening.
Yeah, so this is a very, very big part of the president's agenda. So first of all, no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, major tax relief. I think the biggest tax cuts, making the Trump tax cuts permanent, major tax cuts, the biggest tax cuts I would say in 30, 40 years in this country at least, and maybe ever. But there's also something really important there that, to your point, the media never focuses on, and it actually, we're doing full expensing. What that means is that if you're investing in building an American plant and building an American manufacturing facility and hiring American workers, you're going to be able to fully claim the cost of that as a deduction from your taxes. If you think about the American tax code, For 50 years in this country, we've rewarded people for putting factories offshores, for hiring foreigners instead of investing in American workers and investing in American manufacturing. The biggest thing I think the Trump tax cuts do is they completely flip that on its head. We're going to reward you for investing in American workers. We're actually going to penalize you for investing overseas and trying to create jobs for foreign workers. And that's, of course, what the tariffs do. And these things go together, right? The tariffs are kind of the stick. The Trump tax cuts are the carrot. We want to reward you for building in America. We want to punish you for building overseas. And again, Jim, that is such a crazy change from where we were in this country for 50 years. My entire life, I've seen factories close down. I've seen good middle-class manufacturing jobs go to Mexico, go to China, go to somewhere else because our politicians rewarded people for building overseas. The president is trying to reward you for building right here at home, and that's what the Trump tax cuts do fundamentally. If you're a worker or a business, you're going to get rewarded for making things and building things right here at home.
And so, folks, to say the least, this is what it looks like to finally have competent leadership. For decades now, we've effectively been subsidizing the economic growth of several countries that absolutely hate everything we stand for over here in America, namely China. But now that President Trump is back in the White House, thank God those days have come to an end. But okay, you know what? Take a listen to what Stephen Miller had to say just the other day about all of President Trump's recent economic success. Let it play.
The economy was on its deathbed when President Trump came into the Oval Office. Joe Biden and the Democrats and whoever was running the White House, be it the Autobahn or anyone else, had suffocated the life out of the American economy. The worst inflation we've ever seen, soaring energy prices, no investment, no innovation, losing out to the world, and the drastic overregulation of every segment and facet of the American economy. President Trump came in. Now we have the largest tax cut and reform in American history. We have the most pro-energy agenda in American history. Lee Zeldin, the head of the EPA, just did the largest energy deregulation action in American history. You mentioned the investments. I had the honor and privilege of watching the president negotiate with the EU and Korea and Japan the largest investments in American history we've ever seen. This is the golden age of the American economy, Sean.
You hear that, folks? Right now, we are all living in the golden age of the American economy, and I think we can all tell that is absolutely correct. Finally, we are actually getting an economy that benefits all of us American citizens as opposed to a bunch of rootless anti-American globalists, and for that, I think we are long overdue. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as I like to say, I don't know about all of you, but me personally, so far, I've been getting exactly what I voted for.